Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Back to Self podcast. I'm your host, Sylwia Kuchenna. Today, I would like to talk to you about people who live outside the self. What does that even mean? And what kind of people are the people who don't really feel connected to themselves? What does it mean to live outside of the self? You guessed, we're going to talk about people pleasers. So what are the characteristics of people pleasers? First of all, you need to know that people pleasers are people who are living in constant fear. People who constantly are afraid that they will be rejected, that they will be not liked, that they will be a burden to someone else. Another characteristic is that people pleasers are constantly exhausted. These people are extremely tired because they keep managing everybody else's emotions. They take responsibility for how others think and feel, and they have that responsibility on them, that it's their job to make others happy, to make other people feel comfortable and safe. It's their job for others to feel good. This is what they believe. Another thing about people pleasers is that they're completely disconnected, detached from the self. They're constantly thinking about what others around them are feeling, what others are thinking, what other people's expectations are, what and how should they behave and act so the environment and the people around them would feel good and safe and happy. People pleasers hold huge responsibility on themselves because they believe they're responsible for how other people are feeling. So these people are completely personalityless. Those people, they don't understand, they don't see their self-worth. In fact, they don't believe that they have any worth because their self-worth is determined by how other people are seeing them. Their self-worth is pretty much attached to how other people are viewing them. People pleasers, they have no idea of their self-concept. They have no idea. They have really no personality, no sense of self, no sense of identity. They're struggling hugely when it comes to identity because they have no idea who they are. They never had the chance to develop identity because their identity is very much linked to how other people feel. Their identity is attached to how much they're needed in society. Their identity is based on how other people feel, and they're the fixers. They're their savers. The personality of the people pleaser will depend on what's needed at the time. The personality of people pleasers is really depending on what the other person needs them to be. If you need the people pleaser to be a saver, he or she is going to be the saver. If you need the people pleaser to be the fixer, yes, they're going to be the fixers. If you need people pleaser to be someone who will be very helpful, always accessible, very flexible to your schedule, they will be that. It's because they exist based on how people are viewing them. They need to be needed because they have no idea who they are. They have no idea how to be. They don't know what they think. They don't know what they feel. They don't know what they want. They don't know who they are. People pleasers constantly are focusing on the outside. People pleasers are constantly focusing on people outside of them, on their environment. They're focusing constantly on the external things, never inside. This is why I always say that people pleasers are the people who are living outside of the self. And with this podcast, Back to Self, is where we will cover today how to get yourself back to the self, how you're going to feel connected to the self. People pleasers are people who take responsibility for everyone else. People pleasers are the people who constantly feel responsible how the other people are feeling. They take responsibility for other people's lives and they do it, but at the same time they become the shadow of themselves. They constantly forgetting about themselves. They constantly looking for external validations. The role of being is to please others. And how does that develop? How is it possible that people can so easily forget about themselves? How come people are so disconnected from their own emotions? Of course, it goes back to their childhood. One of the scenario could be where a child is parentified, where those children need to take responsibility for their parents. There will be the savior for the mother, the savior for the father. And those children will try to fix and take the pain, those uncomfortable feelings that the parent feels, and they will try to carry on that for the parent. So they will try to free the parent from some kind of sorrow. And this mechanism, it's absolutely normal because as children, we need our parents to exist. We need our parents to survive. We need our parents to stay alive. So if the parent is unhappy, if the parent is carrying some kind of pain, the child will drop themselves immediately just to save that parent, because that means their existence is at risk if the parent is unhappy, if the parent is in pain. So if the parent is struggling, my survival, my existence is at risk. So of course I will drop everything just to make sure this parent is happy. Another example where how people pleasers are developing is that when they have different roles in the household, roles that are not really ever expected or ever said, but these roles, these patterns of behaviors is to help them make everything at ease, where they will take the responsibility for the household to be calm, to be easy. That's another actually aspect of the people pleasers. They will always try to manage everyone else's emotions. They will always try to suit everything. They will always try to make everything as easy as possible. They don't like conflict. They don't like confrontations. They will just make everyone happy. So as a child, if there was an argument between the parents, your role would be to comfort the mother and to soothe the father so he won't be as angry. So if a father came back home drunk, maybe your role was to help your dad to take out the shoes, to give your drunk dad the dinner that mom prepared before, so she wouldn't have to look at him. So your role in that scenario was like a mediator. You were mediating between the mom and the dad. So you kept everyone safe. So when you were a suitor in your childhood, it's also very much like that in your adulthood, you are a people pleaser. Another situation where when as a child you needed to please people was when you didn't feel visible, when you didn't feel lovable, when you didn't get enough praisings, when love that you have been receiving from your parents were very much conditional. So you either had to act certain ways for your parents to accept you. You had to reject your own emotions so your parents could accept you. For example, anger. Another reason why people pleasers are constantly looking out and they're looking after other people's feelings, and another reason why people pleasers are so attuned with how the environment goes and what's the feelings. They're amazing at reading rooms. They're amazing at reading people's energies, because in the childhood that depended on their own safety. That depended whether the house would be nice and calm and soothed, or it was full of tension, pressure, arguments. So the child's role was really like a manager. So you were the manager of the house, of everybody else's feelings. We people please because maybe we hold a huge rejection wound in ourselves. Maybe we never felt visible as a child. Maybe we never got the praise. No one saw us for who we were. There is a price that we got when we became people pleasers. Maybe we had to be people pleasers because that was the only way for us to feel safe. Maybe we had to be people pleasers because that was the only reason when we've got some kind of praisings. Maybe we had to please others because it helped us build that connection with our parents. Maybe it helped us to build any kind of relationship with others. There's always a hidden agenda. There's always hidden price that we either need to pay or we're going to receive. I want you to know that whatever the reason is, this is survival mechanism. It's your survival strategy. You had to do this. You had to be and act certain ways in your childhood because you were depending on your parents. Your safety dependent on them. Your existence dependent on them. And when I say that there is a price to pay, I don't want you to go now and giving out to yourself or blame yourself and why was I doing this and I shouldn't be doing this. The inner critic won't help you right now. We're having this conversation for you to recognize yourself, to really understand your own patterns, that you are living in survival mode. But the paradox of that is when you don't have your inner child wound healed, when you have that rejection wound healed, it's very much still alive in you. And even though you might be 35, 40, 45, that wound is still very much active. And you understand the world, you understand yourself from the position of the 5-year-old. You understand yourself from the position and you live from the position of a child because you never healed your inner child wounds. You still believe that you have to people please now in your adulthood to feel accepted. You still believe you need to act certain ways to fix, to help, to be accessible, to never say no to anyone. So they won't reject you. This is where I want you to ask yourself, how do you form relationships today? What do you do to form relationship with others? What's working? How do you know the relationship you're going to have is working? Usually for people pleasers, the way they form relationship is by giving everything that the other person wants. We want to step ahead of that person that we try to build relationship with. So before they even ask, we are already there. We're ready to give. The way we form a relationship is we completely mask ourselves. We wear some kind of persona of, look, I will be there for you. Look, I'm going to be there. I'm supportive. I'm wise. If you need me to be wise, I'm going to be wise. If you need me to help you, I'm going to do it. If you need me in certain tasks, I will be there. Once again, in your adulthood, you're forgetting about yourself. You're forgetting about your own needs, your boundaries. That's another actually aspect of people pleasers. They have very little to none boundaries. It's actually very understandable why they don't have the boundaries, because if they're just extended of someone else, they're lacking themselves, and yet they're constantly focusing on other people. There is no boundary, there's no an end to me and the beginning to you. We are, like, my existence depends on you, so I can't have boundaries. Because if I would have boundaries, then there's a huge risk of me being rejected. There's a huge risk of me feeling not lovable, not likable. So we can't have boundaries. And as a result, in our adulthood, we build relationships with no boundaries. We build relationships where we don't voice our opinions, where we go with the flow. We're very easygoing. We're very polite. We make ourselves very likable. Another characteristic of people pleasers is that they actually need to be liked. It's huge for them. It's hugely important for them to be liked. Because number one, they don't like themselves. They don't even know who they are. So they can't like themselves. We can't like something or someone when we don't know it. So if they don't know themselves, if you don't know yourself, you can't like yourself, because there won't be any foundation for you to like yourself. You just don't know. You're neglecting yourself. You're neglecting your emotions. Your existence is not really important. What is more important for you is how other people feel about you. Or what's more important is how they feel in your presence, and then what they expect from you. And then you constantly striving to actually meet those expectations constantly, which at the end exhausts you to the core. But just bite your teeth, say nothing, and you keep going. People pleasers, they never had the room in their childhood to develop themselves. They never had the chance to explore who they really are. They never had the chance to say, no, I don't like this. They never had the chance to live, to be creative, to be in that receiving energy, because they constantly had to give. They had to constantly give something out of them. They were the givers, not the takers. And when they constantly give, this is part of I need you to like me. I need you to accept me. I need you to be around me and to form a relationship with me. And I need you to like me. I need you to like me. Because deep down, they have nothing that they would believe that they're worthy, that they're lovable. So they need other people to give that to them. It's like the hamster wheel. They're constantly on it. They chase something, but it's not common. And it's over and over again, repeating with every single relationship that they're going to have. Lack of self, no boundaries. They need for them to be like, they need for them to be acceptable by others. They're constantly chasing without realizing that they can come out of that hamster wheel. And it takes loads of courage to do that, especially when your whole existence is about the belief, I'm nobody. I need someone to like me. And that's the only way I can actually exist. So you can see how difficult that is for someone who's been there for 40 years. And now you have someone like me to tell you, you can come out of it gently. Just try. You can always go back to your hamster wheel, but come out and tease it out. Check it. What it would be like to live outside of that hamster wheel. If you would look at the natural, organic way of life, how life goes, when a child is born, it's very natural for the child to keep taking, and the parent is the one who meant to be giving. And that usually is happening till about 18, 19, 20 years old. Parents constantly give, children takes. However, if the child was parentified, if there is childhood trauma, generational trauma, that organic system is actually reversed back. So that means the parent no longer gives, the parent is the one who takes. And who is the one who gives? The child. So rather than the parent to give, the parent takes. And the child, rather than it takes, it gives. In therapy or during my workshops, I often see the shift. When you're going to reconnect with that part of yourself, and for that moment in a safer environment, when you're going to feel and understand yourself, the shift in, oh, I can't receive, and I don't always have to give, and my existence is not at risk, I'm still safe, I'm still here. This little shift makes you want to change this dynamic. This little shift, the energy, the feelings that comes with it, it's like, oh, I'm worthy. All of the sudden, I can receive without feeling guilty. All of the sudden, I can be without afraid that you're going to reject me, because that shift allows you to reconnect with yourself in a way that you long forgot that you could do that. Being people pleaser is probably one of the most difficult roles that a human, an adult, a child can have, because you're abandoning yourself. because you're rejecting yourself, because you're going through the life like you're no important, the shadow. And in those people's eyes, if you would look at yourself, if you would look into the mirror and look deep into your eyes, you will see exhaustion, you will see emptiness. The spark in their eyes is very little or almost gone. These people are constantly afraid of allowing themselves to be. They don't know who they are. They're very lonely. And even though they might have loads of people around them, they don't really feel connected. They can't form very deep, meaningful connection, relationships with others because it doesn't sink to the heart. They don't connect with their body. They don't connect with their heart. They're very good with analyzing. They're very good with organizing. They're very good with knowing what step to take. The survival mode of people pleasers are graded to the A+. It's fantastic. They don't even have to think twice. It's their second nature to be in that survival mode. What to do? To come out of that mindset? First of all, you need to know yourself a little bit more. So ask yourself, what kind of values would you have if you didn't have to please others? What kind of person would you like to be if you knew 100% that people will accept you? What kind of life would you like to have if everything was possible? Based on those 3 questions, it will allow you to paint some kind of picture. What is your potential? On top of that, I would like you to ask yourself and journal about this. Where in your life do you reject yourself the most? Where in your life you haven't forgive yourself for something? Where in your life do you hold grudges against yourself? And lastly, journal about where in your life you're showing fear. What are you really afraid of? What are the aspects of life that actually terrifies you? What does it feel unbearable? What does it feel like you can't accept? Because that would mean your life is at risk. That would mean your safety is at risk. Those questions, it will help you reconnect with yourself, with your own emotions, and will also give you a little picture of where is your potential. Thank you very much for listening today. Thank you very much for being here with me. Back to Self is therapeutic podcast where I'm helping you come back to yourself simply because you deserve it and you're worthy of it. You're worthy of your own life. Thank you very much for today. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.